Welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Romano. This is a review of the April trade of 2022. When I got into that trade, the markets did go up. So I got in on the 16th and the 17th of March of 2022. And I would say around that time, the government came out with some news to prop up the market. And unfortunately, when you trade with news, that's going to happen. You're going to enter a trade at the wrong time, etc. So I never worry about what the news says or what's going on in the media. I solely base my analysis work on the charts and what is the long-term perspective. I knew that after the news, the market would actually fizzle out. I was hoping that it would fizzle out sooner. Unfortunately, it didn't. So when I got in on March 17th, the markets did go up. And yes, when you sell options, when you enter a trade and you sell options, the count is going to go, it's going to look really disgusting. Now, I did mention that in the previous video, when to get in on that trade. Unfortunately, the count, you would probably throw up. Now, of course, I didn't throw up because I was used to that type of, entering the markets, and that's what happens. But because we entered the markets when I mentioned that I did, the actual price of an option was very cheap. And as it went up, the price of an option went even cheaper. So I kept entering the markets, and the markets kept going up. So finally, after about, I would say, a month now, it is April 22nd. And finally, the markets have tanked. Now, I'm in the green on all of those trades that I placed. And I'm really happy now. But of course, when you enter a trade, it's quite scary because you see your account going negative. And, of course, I didn't trade with 100% of my capital. That we would never do. But I did trade with 30%. So I got in with 30% on, I think it was the 17th, around there at that time. I know it wasn't the 15th. I know it wasn't the 16th. Maybe it was the 16th or the 18th of March. And so after that, the markets kept going up and I kept entering. And for those of you who are new to my channel or new to this video or haven't watched my previous videos, I was discussing on the April's trade for the S&P. And I trade options, and so I enter a trade being a seller of options, and then I exit the trade as a buyer of those options. So I haven't exited any of those positions yet. Everything's in green now. But of course, I'm still expecting the markets to go further down because I don't know if you've looked at the charts. It's been trading pretty much sideways, and it's really not taking a dive yet. However, I know that it should take a dive, and I don't know how long it's going to take now because it's almost like the markets are waiting for something, or there's a lot of movement going around that people are changing their positions, they're reevaluating their portfolios. They're doing a lot based on interest rates because interest rates will keep going up. And we could also say goodbye to cheap mortgage loans. The first quarter of 2022 is the end of the real estate market going up as we know it. Now, I don't want to talk about real estate in this video, but there's a lot of other stuff going around. This first quarter was not good. And it wasn't just that it was, a smooth first quarter. There's a lot of ups and downs, which if you're on the wrong side of the trade and you have to exit because you've hit your stops, well, you're just going to keep losing money. And so I talked about the January decline in our market, and so that was a great trade. And then, of course, I talked about the first week of April trade. That finally turned out to be really good because now finally the markets are tanking. And it did take a while, and that's why I love options. I love being a seller of options. Unfortunately, I don't chase the market with puts or calls. I only focus on puts just because there's a higher probability of the markets dropping than going up. And so when you try to basically chase the market, it's what it's called, that's not very good. I believe in my strategy, and that's what you have to also do. You have to create your strategy and also believe in it, and do not listen to the news at all. Unfortunately, the news is just a static. And when you speak to someone else, that's also static, and that could allow you to rethink your position. So I never talk to anyone when I do these type of trades. That's kind of why I haven't made any videos on it. But as of today, Friday, April 22nd, I'm very happy. And I will continue to stay in this trade probably the market's tanked on Friday. So it will probably tank for a day and then it'll go up. We'll see what happens. But I don't see the markets really going any higher than it was in the middle of, or the end of March. That was actually pretty high. The beginning of April. So basically I entered the trade as the markets were going up because you could buy your puts much cheaper, and as it keeps going up, they go cheaper and cheaper. You should try to buy the puts as far as out you can go. This way you have enough time to analyze your positions and etc. This video, it was a recap on the trade that I mentioned first week in April. And I talked about the market tanking on the first week of April. And the reason why I didn't is because the government came out with some good news to kind of prop up the market. Because at the middle of, I would say, March of 2022, the markets were going to tank. They were already fizzling out, and it was the end of the first quarter of the year. And always when the first quarter of the year comes about, markets either stall or trade sideways. It's just how it is. However, I've also analyzed all of the returns on my hedge fund portfolio. There's 12 hedge funds that are negative for the first quarter of 2022. And that's really scary. I don't see the second quarter being so nice. Unfortunately, the markets didn't tank yet. As I said they would. They should tank a lot, especially when Russia invaded Ukraine. So there's a lot of stuff going on now, a lot of reevaluation of people's portfolios based on interest rates. And it's kind of like the bubble has bursted for the real estate market. That all plays about in one's portfolio. Secondly, we have these large corporations that they're not doing what they're supposed to do to make their shareholders happy. And they're losing money because of it. And so this is affecting people's pensions, portfolios, etc. It's just interesting how Warren Buffett purchased an enormous amount of shares of energy companies, oil companies, and steel companies. He's investing heavily on that. And it's ironic how the government comes out now and says that any infrastructure that's done in America has to be from US Steel. So it's interesting how he knew that. But anyway, gold prices continue to spike. Gold never lies. You always know the markets based on the gold prices. And so if they're spiking now, that's scary. Because look what happened in 2019 of August. Around that time, gold prices started to spike. So that means that I think around January, February of 2020, someone already knew about COVID, and they knew that over the summer. That's why gold prices were spiking. And so follow gold prices because they never lie, and keep an eye on those gold prices. The next trade that I'll be talking about is Bitcoin. This summer, it will be at its lowest, and it will be at its highest in the end of December of 2022. So thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe to my video and do thumbs up so that other people get to see those videos. Please remember to send me messages to the live chat so I can make future videos just for you. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.